Hello, I'm Anime Everyday and welcome to some extra content for the upcoming summer season. Me and TopAnimeWeekly are going to be chatting about some of the shows that summer has in stock for us. So let's get into it. First up is GANGSTA. This is being adapted by Manglobe from the GANGSTA manga, and it will start airing on July 2nd. I'd say this is probably the one I'm looking forward to the most.
It has to be.
Yeah, because the PV looked really good. I think it's a manga adaptation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've heard people saying it's the manga's meant to be really cool. Any anime involving gangsters is instantly intriguing because they don't tend to cover gangsters in anime.
No, they don't, and this isn't like the typical gangsters you see in anime. Like, this is mafia-related gangsters.
Yeah, which I can only really think of a few, like maybe Gungrave and Black Lagoon, that kind of.
Yeah.
They kind of have a similar feel. It's also Manglobe, who seemed to be doing a pretty cool job. The animation looked really cool in the PV.
It's one of my favourite studios.
The director, he's directed quite a few shows that have been really good, so I'm pretty confident that he'll do a pretty cool job on it.
Especially Ergo Proxy.
Yeah, definitely.
That show is so amazing.
If he can even do half a good a job as Ergo Proxy, then I think this will be a really good show.
I'm just hoping it's a long-running show, you know? Like,
yeah.
I don't want it to be 10 or 11 episodes and then they just cuts it off. It doesn't feel like it'll work like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a kind of show that's going to have lots of kind of like Black Lagoon, where it'll have 3 or 4 episode stories maybe, and then they'll just keep on doing them, and hopefully it'll get more than one season maybe. It looks like it's got quite a lot of characters, so I'm guessing that there's going to be a lot of storylines, but we'll have to wait and see.
I think, the music by Suichi, I think. It's have you seen the PV for it?
Yeah.
How good I know it was sounded like dubstep. Unlike Parasite's dubstep, this one fit.
Yeah, it sounds like it's meant to be there.
Yeah.
It looks good. Overlord is the next series, a light novel adaptation by Madhouse that starts airing on July 7th. It kind of looked like it was like a kind of dark kind of fantasy.
Yeah.
The PV I watched didn't have subtitles, so I wasn't really sure what they were actually saying, and I don't really know what the plot was, but it looked pretty cool.
I have a couple of issues with it, Madhouse and light novels never work.
That is true.
And it seems like they put a new director into this. He's not new, but he did Digimon Savers, I think the 3rd season of Digimon and stuff like that, and I don't feel like he can do this show properly.
Yeah, I don't think he's got much experience. It's kind of weird with Madhouse because they've done so many good shows that you kind of they're going to do a good show, but then every now and again they do a kind of low quality show, and maybe a show that isn't up to their standards, so it's kind of, sometimes it's a hit or miss. But what it looked quite light-hearted. It didn't look like it was taking itself too seriously, so they could make a kind of interesting comedy kind of thing out of it.
But that's also another issue, I think it's a show about people stuck in an MMORPG because they couldn't disconnect in time or something like that, and yeah, I never
heard that before.
And I also checked out the light novel character designs to the anime, because I was reading through Mal's comments on it, and the change was so big. They made it more childish,
That's definitely the first thing that struck me about the PV was that it was very cartoonish.
I feel like it's going to be a letdown, really. I
think there's only a few things they can do with it, and that's kind of either create a kind of light-hearted comedy show that is kind of making fun of that genre that they're kind of stealing, but I can't see it working if they're going to take themselves seriously and try and create a serious show out of it. I don't think that would work at all.
But also, the main character is pretty overpowered.
That tends to happen with these kind of shows.
I hope it isn't one of those shows where they spend 3 to 4 episodes in an arc, right, just to have the main character finish it.
Yeah. With
one spell or whatever they use. I'm hoping it's story driven. That's the only thing that's left, story and character driven. But
yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can actually do anything unique with the kind of stuck in a video game idea, since it's been on so much over the last since Sword Art Online basically.
Yeah. But it also could turn out to be another Mahou Sensu, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Next up is ROKKA no YUUSHA, a new fantasy manga adaptation that will start airing on July 5th.
This is that one that's been adapted from multiple light novels. Honestly, I don't know what to say. Except for that one CGI monster I saw in the PV, I have no issues with it.
The only issue I'd have is that the studio don't have much experience. I think they've done Rail Wars and one other show, I think. So it's completely unpredictable what they're going to do. Although the director does have a few good shows in his lineup. He's done Spice and Wolf and stuff.
Yeah.
I put in my notes that it's kind of the visuals are the part that stood out for me. I thought that there was like a lot of like nice background art and stuff like that. I think like the fantasy setting kind of lends itself to that. Sometimes like the backgrounds can look really nice and stuff, but I guess since it's a PV, you can never really tell. You can never really tell if the PV is going to be anything close to what the show actually has.
But I also hope they don't cheap out on the monsters. Like in the PV, you saw that one monster CGI. I hope it's not like, you know, when an issue comes and there's like multiple monsters. I hope they're not all CGI, because let's be honest, it'll be cringe. Like it doesn't fit at all. Especially
with a fantasy thing, you want everything to be as immersive as possible. So when like a CGI like big monster that comes that looks like it's from a video game comes out, it's like you just can't take it seriously anymore, which is annoying.
But the director's good, so I'll have hope.
The second season of everybody's favourite slice of life, Non Non Biyori, will be airing this season as well. It'll have the same studio as season 1 and a returning staff list. So the next one, I'm guessing you watched Non Non Biyori season 1, right? Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I really like Non Non Biyori. I think it does slice of life, you know, one of the best ways to do it, because it's so simple, characters are really enjoyable, you know, nothing really happens. I guess you could criticize it for that, but it's like, it's a thing about a school where nothing really happens. That's the whole point of it. So it's kind of like about the little things in their school. So all I can say is if season 2 is the same as season 1, I'll be happy.
And it isn't forced, which is the best thing.
Yeah.
But I do hope in season 2 that their brother talks for once, because I just always see him sitting there. I feel he seems so awesome, because he has all these talents and he just never talks, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I wonder if they will introduce like new characters in, because they did kind of do that in season 1 where they brought in like a character for an episode or something like that, but for the main part they stuck to the main cast, which I guess is cool, but it was nice to see new characters coming in. But I wonder what they'll do in season 2. I'm quite interested, because it was one of my favourite shows of this year.
I regret not ranking it, to be honest.
I guess that's like kind of understandable, since it's not something that kind of catches your eye straight away. It just looks like another moe slice of life show, but
yeah,
it's got a nice atmosphere to it. Next is probably the most bizarre series we've been shown in a good few seasons, JC Staff's manga adaptation, Prison School.
I don't even know where to start with this one, to be honest.
I've heard almost every single opinion on the show.
Exactly.
Some people say it's like the best thing ever, and some people say, oh, it's rubbish, and then some people say it's pretty good, and then you watch the PV and it's just like, I have no idea what was happening in that PV. That was crazy.
I couldn't, but it's very, very edgy heavy. You can tell that just from the PV. But I will say the animation and art style look really good though.
Yeah, that was the thing that stood out the most, was that I don't really know like what type of animation that is, because it kind of looked like CGI, but at the same time it looked like just normal 2D animation. So it was like it was a really interesting mix of both. But I mean that could make it a really interesting series. So I'm looking forward to it personally.
It's gonna be one of those really popular shows.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people are gonna be talking about it. I hope it's good though. I hope whatever they do, whatever's happening in the series, I haven't looked into it at all. I hope whatever they're doing, they do it right, because it looks cool and looks like they can do something interesting with it.
I know a bit of the synopsis. It's 4 boys, I think, get sent to what used to be an all-girls school, but now it's, you know,
okay,
who knows.
And I guess just crazy situations happen from there, right? Ufotable's new series God Eater is next, an adaptation of the God Eater video game series. So this is Ufotable, or however you want to pronounce it, and obviously they are a studio that have demonstrated their talents pretty obviously. The one thing I would say about this is it seems to have a lot more style than some of their other shows. Yeah, like Fate Zero and Karanai Kyokai tend to go for just like absolute quality, whereas God Eater seems to be going for like a more of an art style than just straight out quality, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it feels like a game adaptation because the art style itself feels like a game, you know.
Yeah, you could definitely feel it and fitting right into the game.
If you look at it, it's like everything's so crisp.
It's definitely one of my most looking forward to shows of the season. Just purely looking at the art, like forget everything else about the series, like look at the art and like I just really want to watch like a whole episode of that, because I think that would be really cool to watch.
There are 2 things that you can expect great fight scenes because it's Ufotable, but the problem is it's the director, because he directed Kyo, and it's basically the worst thing to ever come out in history.
Yeah, that's like I was really excited, and then I seen the director and I was like, he hasn't really done that much.
But then he also directed the 5th Karanai Kyokai film.
Yeah.
So it's kind of dodgy in which way you're gonna expect the show to go. So.
Yeah, because every director has their bad shows and good shows. There are very few directors that have done everything good.
Yeah.
So I mean, some directors can, you know, turn around and do something amazing after doing like 3 bad shows. So you never know. I mean, it could be really good, but again, that director could ruin it possibly. So fingers crossed about that.
Especially it is a game adaptation, so there's really not expecting much from it.
Charlotte is the new key adaptation. PA Works will be handling this one, and it airs next month, which is an interesting one. It's Charlotte. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Charlotte.
Yeah, which is PA Works, who have done loads of shows recently, and PA Works always manage to make the shows that are kind of like everybody's really excited about them because their visuals are really nice and shiny, and they look so nice. But they have got a tendency to make not so good shows. Like Glassslip was quite boring. Angel Beats I didn't really like at all.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of crying in the PV. So if that's anything to say, it could be this super over dramatic show, but the PV did look really interesting in terms of visuals.
Yeah, especially with like the powers that are going on. Like our main character has a power of some sort.
Alright.
But I'm not sure because his eyes just turn green in one of the scenes. And I'm like, okay. But what worries me is the director, because Captain Earth was one of the worst things.
Yeah.
Well, it's not worse, but it's like the cliche.
Yeah, it was very dull.
Like nothing improved at all since the beginning.
And that was the same thing as Glassslip with PA Works.
Yeah.
That was exactly the same. They just like interesting ideas, look nice. You know, on paper it's a good show, but then when they executed it, it was like there was something missing that just gave it that spark, and it just became boring.
Yeah, and it was also like Charlotte was also advertised with Angel Beats, so it could be like a usual slice of life until the last 2 episodes or something.
Yeah.
And then just they force all the romance, drama.
Yeah, a lot of melodrama. Yeah, which is really hard to work when you try and do super over dramatic things. It's really hard to get right. So I hope they do. I just hope they don't do that too much, because I just can't see it happening. Even in Nagi no Asakura, which I quite liked.
Yeah.
Even the more dramatic moments of that, I felt they were a little bit cringy. Up next is another fantasy series, Akagami no SHIRAYUKI-HIME. Bones will be handling this one, and it starts airing July 4th. Akagami no SHIRAYUKI-HIME, which is a Bones show. I don't really know what to predict for this one, really. Bones are quite unpredictable, but they've made some quality stuff, and the animation looked like it could be really nice in the show from the PV. The director's done Sword of the Stranger, which was one of my favourite movies.
Yeah.
It's a really well directed movie, and I've not seen Hanasaka Iroha.
I think that's a slice of life one, right? With
yeah,
I've seen that one. Yeah, it was really good. Surprising.
I think it's about someone who works in a bathhouse or something.
Yeah, when she lost her parents. Or
they're kind of like 2 completely contradicting things. Like there's one really low key, and then Sword of the Stranger, which is super action packed and stuff like that. So I mean, I have no idea what to expect for this show, really. I'm just hoping it will be cool.
All I know is apparently a lot of people say from reading the manga it's a great coming of age story, so that's always good to have around.
Another sequel coming this summer is Gatchaman Crowds, yet again as a returning studio and staff list. So for the next one, did you watch Gatchaman Crowds season 1?
I love the first season.
This director, Kenji Nakamura, is one of my all-time favourite directors. He makes really unique shows, always with a really unique art style and really unique kind of premises, quite quirky and quite weird. And Tatsunoko Productions are kind of the same thing. They make a lot of they've made Ping Pong and stuff like that, so
they experiment a lot. That's what I love about them. Like they're not restricted to one type of show. Like they've made Ping Pong a sports coming of age story, Yaru no Yataman an adventure, and Gatchaman Crowd's just weird, but it was fun.
I haven't watched Gatchaman Crowd since it aired, but I remember it was kind of like quite unique, quite quirky, and if they can kind of do that again for the second season, same as Non BIYORI really, if they can just replicate the second season, I'll be quite happy. In this term,
Gatchaman Crowd's an original story though, so
and
I heard they added 2 new characters, so that could be interesting. But
so they're kind of taking a risk by might be changing it up a bit.
Yeah.
And the final show is RANPO KITAN, a mysterious horror anime that didn't give away too much in the PV. It didn't really show us much that we can kind of talk about at all, really.
All I know, it's part of the Noidsima I don't know how to say that. I think it's not intermission. Things the anniversary thing this year, like they're funding Punchline, this show, and some other shows in the fall. But yeah, I know that it should be pretty dark.
The short PV that I did watch, I don't think it wasn't very long at all, and it just kind of like showed you still frames of characters, but there was like a lot of skulls and stuff like that, and it looked quite eerie. It felt quite eerie. So the studio have done Assassination Classroom and Hamatora, so their production quality probably isn't going to be that great, but they certainly do have a style about their studio, which is pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, it's probably the one we could talk about the least, because they didn't really show us much at all. But yeah, we'll just have to keep our eyes out for that. So that's all the shows. Anything else you want to talk about?
Other than that, this season's pretty dull in comparison.
Yeah, unfortunately. We haven't had that many great stuff this year so far, but
I feel like they're saving up all their good shows for the fall, because the fall lineup so far looks really, really good.
Yeah, if we can have a really good fall lineup, then I'll forgive the rest of the year. So that's been our thoughts on the upcoming summer 2015 anime. So what are you guys looking forward to? Please post them in the comments. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.